guys, it's Shay.
I'm Nick.
This video is going to be a bit longer than our last ones, but it's much more important. It's going to be a two-part video. First part's going to be like generalised how-to study tips. It's like the act of studying more, like what you should and shouldn't do, or what we think works best. The second part of the video is going to be specifically based on succeeding in exams. Preparation for exams is a pretty big deal, obviously, for student life, so we're going to do the best we can and help you out.
Alright, sweet. So we're just going to go over some real general sort of study tips that are going to help you guys to better prepare for exams. First one's definitely to figure out the best way that you study. Are you a visual learner? Do you learn better from reading? Do you learn better from watching videos? And there's all different types. You just got to sort of experiment sort of with those different methods of learning and just figure out what works best for you.
Alright, our second biggest study tip for the act of studying is to find a good workspace, or the best workspace you can possibly get available to you. A workspace for me is a desk that is pretty clean, pretty clear. I mean, if I've got more than one subject on there, it's just a little bit...
just goes down the drink.
It's just a little bit too distracting. So yeah, if you can grab...
Alright, so another major thing that you guys need to concentrate on is making lists, or sort of objective-based lists on what you need to actually achieve throughout the day or throughout the week or over the weekend. It's much easier to achieve a set of goals if they've been written down, because you can just go through and tick them off and you get that sense of accomplishment when you are doing that. You also need to base the productivity of like a study session on what's actually achieved, not on how much time you spent. Some concepts might take a lot longer for you to learn. That's completely fine, but you can't judge how well you're doing if you've spent 4 hours in your room doing study when really you've been switching between sort of Facebook, YouTube and study. It doesn't...
Yeah, no, the back end of the last tip Nick just gave you, especially with the switching between Facebook, YouTube, a little bit of studying, reading, whatnot, is this next one. This next one is make a choice. I mean, sounds pretty simple, but a lot of the time, and I know we've both fallen into the trap of it, you sit down to do a bit of study, you don't really want to do study, that's normal, but you sit down and you kind of just half do it. Don't half do studying, because if you're half watching YouTube videos and half reading that textbook, you're really not learning much, but you're also not really enjoying the half rest time that you're having either. So if you make a choice, go bam, I'm going to do 1 hour of really solid study, I'm going to learn as much as I can. Smash that hour out, no other distractions, and then have half an hour off, instead of doing 2 hours of half this, half that, and learning nowhere near as much as you would have if you'd just given a really solid 1 hour to your work.
Yeah, for me, when I sort of discovered that that horrible transitory phase where you're not really doing anything on either, and you're not having a break, but you're not working either, and it's just an absolute time pit. You can just spend 3 hours really doing maybe 20 minutes work in terms of productivity, and that's a trap you really don't want to fall into.
Yeah, and especially with the HSE guys, or the SATs, or I think it's A-levels in Britain.
GCSEs, I think.
GCSEs?
I've got no idea.
Whatever you guys are doing. I feel like when I look at the guys and girls around me who I know are smashing school and doing really well, I feel like they're the people who are minimising that, because when you're doing half-half, you're not really resting and you're not really studying. You go to bed that night having done, I don't know, maybe a few hours study, and you're just like, oh man, I'm so tired. I'm really sick of this whole study thing. And it's because you're putting all the work in, you're putting the time, but you're not getting anything out of it, and you're just not feeling good about it. And that's where people are like, oh, studying doesn't work. You know, I can't study. I can't do well in these tests. So really, like, if you want to get the best out of your school life academically, but also retain your mental health, which is one of the most important aspects of being a student, you're definitely going to want to either study or rest or go with your friends, do what you want, but just make a clear decision and really have a distinction between the activities you're doing.
Alright, so another major thing that you guys probably would have heard of before when teachers say use more than one source. It's really important to use more than one source of notes when you are learning for the HSC or really any test. For example, Shay and I did a chemistry test at the start of this year, 2014 preliminary year 11 year, and I used one textbook that the school gave, and he used something known as KISS Color Slides. Basically, it's just a PowerPoint sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good source on its own, but like any good source, it doesn't have everything.
Yeah, basically that test exploited every single gap between the textbook and the PowerPoint presentation, and there was just two sections that or probably one section each, we went really well in, and the bit that the textbook missed and the bit that the slideshow missed, we got absolutely smashed in.
Yeah, so I mean, you really got to, especially in the science subjects, I know that they're really specific and they're really picky about their questions, and it's like, oh god, you know, you could miss one day of school and lose 5 marks in a test if you didn't make it up. So I mean, yeah guys, you just really got to make sure that you cover all your bases when you're making your notes and doing your practice tests.